We'll go ahead and call the Madison County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. In just a minute, we'll get into the approval of the minutes and those items that follow that. Before we do, though, I'll ask if you've got a phone, if you just check the ringer on that for me, please, and see if we can make it through without hearing Blue Christmas or any other tune like that dialed up. We'll have a pledge to our flag and a moment of prayer, and then we'll get started. So if you stand with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you once again for a beautiful day. Lord, we thank you for all the many things you do for us, those things that Lord knows if we were in charge of, I'm sure they wouldn't be as well as what you provided. We thank you for your mercy, your love, your just the numerous blessings we enjoy as both Americans and as citizens of Madison County. Lord, I pray that you'll offer your love and your grace to those that are struggling. You know their needs better than we. I know your grace is sufficient. Be with us as we conduct our business tonight, and as we wrap it up, Lord, that you'll give us safe travel back home. For anything we accomplish, we hope you find it pleasing. We ask these in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right. First item of business is the approval of minutes for the meeting on June the 4th. When you're ready, we'll entertain a motion to approve those. Motion to approve, Chair. I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second. Any comments, questions on those? Seeing none, Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
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 All right. Okay, folks, from time to time, we have the opportunity to recognize folks for different things, whether it's a group or an individual, and we sure appreciate being able to do that. It's special to be able to recognize and pay tribute to those that have done amazing things. Tonight we have an opportunity to recognize one of Madison County's a very fine young man, and we're going to read this proclamation, and upon the completion of that, I'll ask the board for a vote to approve the rest of this proclamation. This is a proclamation honoring Cameron A. Smith. Whereas on June 1st, 2018, Cameron Smith, a young resident of Madison County, made the ultimate sacrifice in a heroic act of courage, and the Madison County Board of Commissioners wishes to commemorate his bravery. And whereas on that date, Mr. Smith was with friends at a popular location on Barber Creek when another young man, whom he did not know, was overwhelmed by high waters. Whereas Mr. Smith immediately reacted by telling a friend to call 911 while he attempted a rescue, and then without hesitation plunged into the raging waters himself. And whereas the high water, a result of record-setting rainfall over the preceding weeks, ultimately claimed the lives of Mr. Smith and the young man he attempted to rescue. And whereas Mr. Smith's heroism comes as no surprise to his friends and family, who know he shares deep Christian faith and commitment to his fellow man. Whereas Mr. Smith's parents, Mike and Jamie Smith, instilled that faith and commitment in Mr. Smith from a young age. And Mr. Smith's older brother, Tyler Smith, is a volunteer first responder who modeled for him the critical need for quick and selfless response in crisis situations. And whereas although Mr. Smith's friends and family will miss their fishing buddy, their home partner, beloved son, brother, uncle. They will also further know that when the call came, he lived up to the highest standard of his faith and values. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Madison County honors the life, sacrifice, and memory of Cameron A. Smith, a young man whose heroism will live forever in the memory of a grateful Madison County community. So resolved by the Madison County Board of Commissioners on this 25th day of June, 2018. And with that, I entertain a vote to approve this proclamation.
Motion to approve, Chairman.
No second. I have a motion and a second. We'll start with Commissioner Strickland.
Yes.
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 Thank you very much. And for those members of the family that are here, we sure appreciate you taking the time and visiting with us. We have a framed proclamation that we'd like to present. If there's somebody that we Sheriff will make the presentation here, and we make copies as well for members of the family. So,
You know, I got to spend a lot of time with the family doing all this, and no doubt he did come from a good family. You know, his values were there, his morals. So I'd like to give this to his mom and dad, please.
thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Okay, now the easy part. There are a few items on the children's report I'd like to go over before we get into the, some of their agenda items. And these are just, more or less updates on some of the events that have taken place, bringing up to date with some of the county's activities. We have been coordinating with a couple of companies, the folks at the Board of Education and the school system are familiar with ABM, and the partnership is to work toward improving some of our energy and communications efficiencies. And so potentially here in the future, I'll probably have them make a presentation, and what they normally do is, and I know for those that have been here for several years, you probably remember this was entertained a few years back. Again, it sounds like rain. Just your wind interrupt. So we'll have more following that in the next few weeks, though. I sent each of you an email regarding the 2019 LMIG application. We did receive it, and the county, the formula amount for 2019 is in excess of $766,836.30. Our match on that would be $230,059.89. And again, we will need to do a couple of things before we actually can make application. We've got our projects that we need to close out for 2018. But I encourage the commissioners to be thinking and identifying those roads that they feel need to be addressed in 2019. It'll make money. item here, I'll probably ask that the board entertain a motion towards the end under urgent matters. It's not so much urgent, but it did come to light after the agenda went out for this, so I'll be asking for a vote. It has to do with the county extension office, so I'll catch that one here in a minute. And then I'd ask Ron to send out a request for the commissioner's availability for a couple of work sessions for our budget discussions. We have, after tomorrow, I'll be down to one department that I haven't spoken with, and then we'll be ready to start consolidating and trying to put that in front of the commissioners and look for discussion for our 2019 budget. So if you would, again, the dates, you know, these were just based on some of the inputs from the commissioners. July 11th and 18th were Wednesdays, and you know, if we're able to sit down and go through all of those relatively in order, it might make it easier for everybody else. All right. All right, folks, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 items on our agenda tonight. If there's anybody that's here that would like to make a comment or a statement regarding any of those 6 items at this point, I'll open the floor if you'd like to do so. Sure, come on, Dave.
Thank you, John. My name is David Black. I live at 1647 Garnet Ward Road here in the county, and my family and I, my wife and I both have lived here all of our lives here in Madison County, and the home that we're at on Garnet Ward Road, we bought 25 years ago. And what I'm referencing, I'm sure from what I've covered so far, some of you are aware of, Commissioner Madison has helped me over the last couple of weeks look into some of the issues regarding the condition of properties across the road from us. And she's informed me that you commissioners are going to be considering looking into some ordinances regarding property conditions and things of that nature over the next month. And I do appreciate that. I think some of the problems that we're dealing with in the county with the condition of properties, I know they're complicated, but I think they're a little overdue in dealing with as well. Specifically, the properties that I'm referring to are directly across the road from us. We're at 1647, and the properties I'm referring to are at 1556 and 1576 Garnet Ward. One of the properties, the one directly across from us, has been in decay for 10 plus years. There was a mobile home, I think a small double-wide mobile home there, that burned about 3.5 years ago. The family that owns the property lived in the shell of the burned out mobile home for about 1.5 years or so, 2 years probably, and finally got it dismantled and got rid of it, and they're living currently in sort of a metal box there on the property that appears to be a storage pod of some type. There is no electricity there. There's a generator that runs pretty much all the time. They live there and in an older camper on the property as well. The property is loaded down with junk. The sheriff's department here in the county knows the property well. I'm sure each of you saw in the papers a few weeks back where there was an arrest of 2 of the residents there for child neglect. The child was found in the middle of the road playing with a dead animal, and there have been numerous calls there to that property. But back to the condition of the property itself, the condition is not improving. There's nothing to indicate that they're going to be able to do anything differently. The property to the right of it, which is across from us and down just a little bit further, also burned about 2 years ago. I know that situation a little bit more closely, and the owner of the property is neither able physically or financially to clean the property up. So unless something is enacted as far as county ordinances, it won't get cleaned up. As the property's conditions are now, the cost to clean up probably is very close to what the properties are worth. So, I sincerely hope that you'll take that into consideration when you look into this further. It's not only an eyesore, it's much worse than that. It's a health hazard. The property directly across the road from it, at any given time, there's anywhere from 4 or 5 to 7 or 8 people there staying in that metal box. Also, I have a letter that was sent to me from an adjoining property owner who doesn't live in this immediate area, but owns 50 acres just to the right of me, and across the road, a portion of it is there as well, which butts up to the most recent burnout property. It's from, the property owner's name is Kenneth Beasley, and it says, and I'm going to read it just as he wrote it: Board of Commissioners, I'd like to request that you review my complaint, or view my complaint that I spoke with Teresa Bettis, District 3 Commissioner, in regards to my next door neighbors, excuse me, current property debris and litter concerns. As for my property located next to his, it was purchased some years ago as an investment for my retirement. I'm now at the age I would like to sell the property to have the money for my retirement years. As anyone can see, the property next door would make it difficult for me to sell my property and get a decent price for it. I would welcome any help you can offer in getting this property cleaned up. It would be greatly appreciated. I look forward to your reply, and I am hopeful the county can get this problem resolved. Thank you for your consideration to my request, Kenneth Beasley. And Commissioner Bettis has the original email from Mr. Beasley, the property owner, in the event of a response to that. My wife and I haven't made much noise about this at all. I first spoke with Commissioner Scarborough around a year ago, and he and I had a good conversation about it. He said the commissioners were looking at that time about something hopefully soon, and then I spoke with Commissioner Bettis again a month or so ago, and she's been very helpful in getting some information together and assured me that the commissioners are looking into that. As I said, we haven't made much noise about it, but it has gotten worse and worse with each passing year. The current situation, I'm sure some of you have been by. If you haven't, I would encourage you to take a look at it. It's a disgrace to the county. It's unfortunate for the young children and youth that are living there, and I think we really need to consider something that would correct, at least to a degree, the problems that we're seeing with that. Any consideration you could give toward that, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak? Make a comment or remark about any of the agenda items here tonight? All right. We're ready to move on then. Our first item on the agenda is to consider hiring 4 additional school resource officers and equipment, and at this point I'll turn it over to the Sheriff.
The Board of Education came to me a little while ago wanting to know if we could furnish some more school resource officers, 4 more for schools. Of course, you know, I told them financially I couldn't do it, but they were willing to help out, do something if they can get y'all to help as well. On the money part, I'm going to let them, superintendent, take care of that. But you see right here on the right of your notebooks, you'll see the call volumes that we've had, and that comes from dispatch for each school. And those calls are from different things. That's not including the deputies' self-generated calls. There's some that don't even go out across dispatch. They don't even know about the deputies handle it themselves. But that's what we have. Or then you look, you see what it costs for our wages, our gear, and our vehicles for that. But no, they asked me would I take responsibilities of hiring somebody, and I told them I would do that, do security, do that part for them if we got to come up with an agreement on the money. So I'll let Superintendent Michael Williams talk to y'all on that part.
Good evening. On behalf of the Madison County Board of Education, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I also appreciate the job that each of you do each and every day. I know it's not easy. I also want to thank Sheriff Moore for his cooperation with the school system. We've had a great partnership with the Sheriff's Office over the years, and we want to continue that. As we prepare for the 2018-2019 school year, we're looking at improving safety in all aspects, in all areas, in all of our schools. We met with David Shanks, and he told us two things we could do that would be the most effective. One would be to practice see something, say something, meaning that we need all of our parents, all of our students, all of our staff, all of our community, that when you see something out of the ordinary, or when you see something that is suspicious, please tell someone so that we can check into it. The second thing that would be effective is additional school resource officers. As you know, we have 3 school resource officers currently. One at the high school, one at the middle school, and one officer for all 5 elementary schools. We currently share the cost of those 3 officers with the Sheriff's Office, and we do appreciate the shared expense in that with the Sheriff's budget. On behalf of the Board of Education, we would like to continue to partner with the Sheriff's Office and add 4 additional school resource officers. We then will be able to station 1 full-time officer at each of our elementary schools. The projected cost would be $219,440. You have that in your notebook there. We would also like to propose to you and the Sheriff's Office to help in sharing the cost of the additional resource officers. I have some figures there, thanks to Sheriff Moore and Chief Deputy Vaughn. And on behalf of the Board of Education, any amount would be greatly appreciated by our Board of Education, our staff, and our parents. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dr. Williams. I believe if that's the same gentleman, is that the gentleman that was there?
Yes.
Okay, I believe I remember hearing him speak as well, so. And we appreciate the work that you do with the schools as well. The only thing and I'll throw this out there for the commissioners' consideration is whether the decision is to support it at whatever level or not. The one thing, and I know the sheriff knows that tomorrow we have a date to sit down and talk about that particular department's budget and everything. So the one thing that we don't know just yet is how things are falling out as far as not just with the sheriff's department, but with all departments, and how much based on current millage, and I sure would like to just talk about current millage for right now. That that money that may be available once we resolve each of the department's budget. So and I'll turn it over to the commissioners here if they have comments or if they have any questions. If they choose to vote on anything or defer, I'll leave that to them at this time. Are there any questions y'all have? You got the folks here that might be able to answer anything, if there's any doubt or any concerns.
I'm just going to say, I think it's obvious that there's a need, but I think it would make sense to wait until after tomorrow when we're going over the budget with the sheriff. Just a thought.
And in no way is that, trying to sound negative. It's just
I'd like to comment on it too, Mr. Chairman. I'm 100% in favor of resource officers. I think it's a very needy thing. But considering last year's budget, it was a $2 million shortfall. And I'm sure that this budget that we're about to start on is going to be that much or more. And I'll ask the board, do you think it's fair to add another $90,000 to a $2 million shortfall budget? You think it's fair to the taxpayers? And I know we need the resource officers, I'm not condemning that at all. But I'm talking about the budget and the taxpayers' burden.
I don't think we've decided on a percentage.
No, we
We're
haven't.
saying that.
No, I was talking about a 50-50 split on that.
Okay.
And again, regarding any potential increase in Commissioner Pepple's right, there could, you know, I don't have the numbers, I can't tell you right now where we are. So, if there's you know, if we're at or slightly above what we anticipate collecting, then we'd have to make a cut in one other department, or you'd have to address millage again. You know, there's, these are all considerations and everything. Like I said, at this point, you know, it might just be just a day or two premature. The thought is out there, and I recognize one other thing too, and it has to do with the budget cycle. Ours is calendar, and that doesn't, a lot of times, it does not marry up well with those that are on a truly fiscal, yeah. So, just, you know, I know you have to plan, and you're probably at a closer point having to pull the trigger on what you need to commit to it, but, ours will probably be, we'll have discussions tomorrow with the sheriff's department, but it'll be in total after all the departments that lead in, and we see where everybody is, and then the board of commissioners the commissioners actually have a chance to look at all of them, next to each other in the totals. That'll probably be when we realize, or when we can determine what kind of real money can be set aside, if any, or what kind of a, you know, an arrangement we might be able to make. So, but yeah, point well taken.
Are we positive about it? Again, you know, I think we probably should table it until we know what we've got to work with.
I agree.
So,
I'll make a motion that we table this till the next
Second.
meeting.
okay, so I have a motion and a second to, in essence, postpone. We're gonna postpone.
We can work together. Everybody can work out something out.
Yeah, but I would ask, you know, on our part, you know, if we could decide something, yes or no, at least by the next. The reason being, I suppose, if it goes without, if we go with 2 or 3, y'all will figure it out tomorrow. That's bodies we gotta find. Y'all will figure it out tomorrow.
Well, that's my next question, Sheriff. You know, how long would it take to be ready? Because like I said, like these other commissioners said, they're needed, we gotta figure it out. I'm sure the BOA is gonna make it happen.
You know, what I'll do, you know,
you guys
we swap bodies
do the
out
right
anywhere.
thing. So
we want somebody that's gonna be.
I know you are, so
Be
you guys
good
do a
for
great
it.
job, so.
But
I'll be glad to
I would like to reiterate, I know Mr. Pepple, mentioned the 90,000, which we would be very appreciative of any, amount, any percentage, so thank you for considering.
No, understand. And some of it's been, you know, we've even talked about maybe, just paying for the cars, or, you know, just do, you know, whatever we can do. And like I said, we can't really decide what we wanna do, because it is a great point Chairman brings up, you know, one more day kind of thing.
And I understand, I'd like to just say, that, you know, please reconsider this an investment in our community and in, you know, in our children and what we have in the future. And we are stretching it as much as we can, to do all that we can, to keep the kids in an environment that they feel comfortable and can become the best that they can be.
Well, like I said, I don't think that's really the issue. We're just trying to figure out what coffer to take the money out of.
We support y'all.
So it's all the citizens' money.
Absolutely.
You know, it's all the
When it comes
citizens'
down
money. So we just gotta figure out what coffer the
We just
citizens'
run out
money
of time.
can take it out of. You know, so, and that's really where it's at. Don't think that we don't, we support it. We support you. I know I do. So.
well, and there are things, you know, last thought here, it's an evolving thing, and, you know, whatever arrangements made this year, if it's made out of necessity, you know, there's always next year too. And I only say that because I really have hope and believe that there will be a widening of our tax base, if you will. And,
I was noticing on the
Could I ask
there was a
sheriff a question, Mr. Chairman? Whatever.
saying it's Tacoma.
Yes, sir.
Calls were so much less in Tacoma because of the city police.
The city police does traffic for us, and just the visibility alone of that officer, reduces the problems at that.
So it works, is what I'm saying.
So,
You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
sir.
That's the only city.
Yeah, Danesville.
We're in discussion with the chief of police there, and so, we're working with Chief Baird.
Commissioner Cook?
I wanted to ask, Michael, when a resource officer determines that there's something wrong with a student, that he's doing something, say, drugs maybe, and you arrest him, is he then turned over to the school officials, or do you continue to handle that?
Well, it goes to the school officials, but then it comes over to us. So it all kind of gets handled at the same time. So we do what we have to do on the law part of it, and the school does what they have to do on the school part. So, it's still a joint thing, but at the end of it, we're actually the ones that's pressing the charge.
Right, okay.
Take care of it.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comment or question? We have a motion and a second to just postpone this until we have a little bit better information, so, any further, Alan?
That's why I see it, whatever it is, that shared split, just so that, well, who do I work for and who's this? That's why I think it works, and that way there wouldn't be that, so, whatever it is.
I agree.
Yeah, I like that, just because, we're here for the
And I
community.
would like to say also that, we appreciate the working agreement that we all have together for the community as a whole. And, if there's a way after the meeting with Sheriff Moore, 50-50 would be great. Obviously, understanding that might not be a reality. Any amount of support, we would greatly appreciate it in putting it back to the safety of our children. It's not that we're trying to, make some publicity statement, oh, we have a school resource officer in every building. We feel like it's that urgent of a need, and I guess you all understand it too. And, if nothing else, it's response time. Certainly, we have, as Sheriff Moore pointed out, we have the one resource officer that goes from school to school, and we're trying to work with Chief Baird as Mr. Reeves spoke to. So, and also even see about putting a security type of officer that can direct traffic, so we can keep our school resource officer actually in the building, when the students arrive. So we just appreciate any consideration, and we understand the budget process, and I know it's not easy. So thank you.
How many resource officers do we have now?
We have
three. We have three.
Three.
Yes, sir.
One at the high school, middle school, and then one that services all the elementary schools.
All elementary.
Five, yes, sir.
So if, could you get by with two more to cover the elementary schools? So you'd have three in elementary, and then one covering middle school and high school.
Well, I think the question, we would come up with then, where would their home school be?
Yeah, right.
And then two schools, if we only had two schools wouldn't have one, and so we felt in fairness to all of our communities, to provide one at each school. But we have thought about that, yes, sir, that's a good point.
We have looked at, for example, in that consideration, that line of thought, perhaps Isla, Old Sanford, and Cobb, where there's not a police agency that's in town. And, but at the same time, those departments, Danielsville and Comer, I'm sure would probably be stressed also as well. So we're trying to look at dispersal so everybody has that same security.
Yeah, I can see where if you had a problem in Isla and your resource officers in Colbert, it'd be a...
Yes, sir.
And we understand that ultimately, I believe, between the school system and the sheriff's department, y'all probably figure out how to do this. You're looking for a cost share on this more than anything though, right? I mean, you're not looking for bodies, you're looking for a cost share. You'll determine how many bodies you can get for that cost share. Or as you say, if you had to go along, you'll do what you have to do. I appreciate that. I'm just saying, I got backtracked real quick before we vote on this, but I just wanna make sure you know, I am talking with her, we are meeting together tomorrow. I think I'll have 3 more after him over the next couple of days, and I'm hoping that we've got, an item here that you just heard me mention, the dates that we're trying to get together for our commissioners to look at the budget, so we'll work on this, as quick and as diligently as we can, so. With that, any other comments, questions? No, sir.
I would like to say that in our jurisdiction, Madison County is the only county that does not have SROs in every school. So, and we were the first to implement such safety factors. Now we're kind of fell behind the times. That's something to consider. Also, the state of Florida, the governor has just mandated for an SRO to be in every school at the cost of the county. So, unfortunately, the trend is moving that way, it's coming.
Chief, remind me, I think there was legislation that didn't pass that would have required SROs to all have some sort of special training certification.
There is a school resource officer certification, and that's going to be the challenge, is actually the impossibility. We're not going to be able to get them SROs certified by August, by this school year. They only do that through the summer months, so we're going to have to rely on the 3 that are SRO certified, and the supervision from myself. I'm certified as well. So the ones coming in would not be school resource officer certified. They would have to follow direction of the lieutenant, so, which is fine, the chain of command is there. But we would have to work on that next summer, so that's kind of the hurry up and wait is kind of tough on us.
All right. We have a motion and a second to postpone the vote on this, and the vote goes to Commissioner Pepple.
Yes.
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 All right.
Are all of them back on July 2nd?
Yes, sir.
All of them back?
We need to be.
Don't do that to me.
I did our first meeting was July 11th, all right? I just want to make sure.
I thought it was 2nd.
It
It is 2nd.
That's when I got covered.
No, I'm talking about the first meeting with the budget.
Okay.
Hey, y'all talking about the wrong meeting.
Still coming.
You're more than welcome. I know y'all don't have enough meetings to go to, so you're more than welcome to join us at any time. And like I said, this is not putting it off indefinitely. This is just buying us another few weeks or another week or two, whatever. We'll get to it and try to leak, you know, when we have too many information, we'll try to make that available, so. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item. Y'all are all welcome to stay. You won't hurt our feelings if you need a minute to relocate. Okay. That's right.
Thank you.
And I do appreciate your, interest in that too. All right. All right, our next item is to consider a resolution amending section 5.3 of the stormwater ordinance, and I bring your attention to there was a document on the table when you came in. That's the one that has been updated to reflect the most recent changes or recommendations by the Planning and Zoning Board. So if you'll, I'll ask Mr. Houston if you want to just maybe go over. These are very straightforward, but again, I would like for you to just hit the highlights on it, if you will, sir.
First one has to do with fencing. It just basically states that all detention and retention ponds shall be enclosed by a 4-foot chain link fence. The recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission is voted 4-1 to recommend approval.
So the obvious question, I'm just, for my edification, Mark, what would have been the rationale behind the dissenting opinion? I'm not,
Did not ask.
Okay, no, I was just.
But we did discuss it quite at length.
Okay. And just so you know, as we're going through our storm water management program, if you want to call it a plan, we're discovering a number of items that perhaps need to be tidied up. Once a subdivision, we have many in the county that have been in existence for a number of years, it's difficult to determine who owns a lot of those areas. And, you know, insurance companies are pretty proud of their premiums when you have a pool. So the county has to address that same, you know, kind of, safety issue. But again, as he said, 4-1, and I'll, just entertain a motion when you are ready for that. Motion to approve, Chairman. I have a motion to approve.
Second.
A second. Are there any comments or questions on this, fencing amendment?
I guess there'll be detailed instructions of what they can use and what they can't use, and height and thickness of gauge and all that kind of stuff.
I'll defer to more on this. I'll share with you, 4-foot chain link, you start getting a whole lot more specific than that, it becomes the burden of the county to go out and actually see if they're using, you know, copper wire or galvanized steel or plastic or whatever, you know, so,
Will it have a locking gate? Doesn't make any difference, they could have a locking gate that just jumps
over it.
True. With the insurance together.
I guess they'll go whatever.
Well, a new subdivision, in many cases, the developer will maintain ownership of it if and until it's transferred over to an HOA or something like that. So it'll either fall to a property owner in the subdivision or an HOA, or remain with the developer. Most developers are not going to want to own that individual pond, if you will. So my guess is that it would transfer with the HOA, but somebody will be responsible, and this is going to be, these are the items that have to be spelled out in our stormwater management program. But at least to just be able to point something and require fencing, I don't know really of many people that would oppose the safety notion of a fence around the detention pond. It's an added expense to the developer or the owner of it, but beyond that, it's probably not going to meet with much resistance. Any other comments or questions? Motion and a second to approve this amendment requiring the fencing. Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
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 Okay. All right, we'll move on to the second one for the 5.1, 5.3 next year.
Okay, this has to do with private access rights and easements and prohibiting them. Basically, it states that no lot shall be created which can be accessed only by a private drive or an easement. All lots must have public road access with a minimum road frontage as required by section 4.7 hereof. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation was a vote of 5-0 to recommend approval.
This is 5.5 here.
It says 5.5, yes.
Oh, okay. All right, we are on 5.5. Very good.
And Linda said once these get added into the ordinance and stuff, that number may shift up or down.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Is there any discussion on this item?
And this might be one of mine, and I might be having a little brain spasm here, but, when, you know, since this is an amendment of subdivision regulations, I know we're about to talk about another one, we're putting a through road, and they've all got to be on a through road, and all these other stuff. Is that gonna affect folks, affect our subdivision regs? If they were, because if you cut a through road in, I guess that would have to eventually be a county road, and then all the ones would be on the county road. You see, I might be in the head, you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But this is gonna affect the other one.
Well, I think they're intended to go together, aren't they?
And so, and the only reason I say it, that's the reason I was looking at this other one
Mhm.
first.
Yeah, and that,
Because all driveways, and I, like I said, this is going forward to the next one. And I just, I'm just trying to do my due diligence here. Minimum road frontage required.
Well, and so the other one is, let's see, exit on subdivision, 3 streets, so, I mean, yeah, I suppose you could have a subdivision with private roads that still, no, I think you're right, that's, yeah, everything is going to have to exit on a county road, city street,
And so they
or
would have
state highway.
to turn those roads into county roads
But they-
to put a lot of them, right?
But they do anyway, I mean, every subdivision, you always, I don't think you have any, I mean, in the past, we've had these, so you could have up to 4 lots, and that was it, and that's what we're trying to do away with here.
Okay. Well, if you think, like I said, you know, you're the council. I just have that.
No, I mean, that's, I think this is the direction of civilization, is to not have these private roads.
I just don't want to
and
do
subdivisions, yeah.
amendments to the subdivision, you know what I'm saying? I'm just asking you to say, no, that's not right, Lee.
If you adopt all of this, then there will be no contradiction whatsoever.
the confusion part has been cleared up if we done Staples and got to this page before we got to that. Because it would have addressed that first. The numbering is correct.
I want my stuff.
So, but it's good to think through that, because when we get to the next one, you'll hear some of the discussion that the P&Z board had that was pretty good on that. So,
It can be scary if I start thinking, so that's the reason.
right. So as it states right here, and you'll remember some of the more recent reasons that we've undertaken, that, you know, there's a need for this, a lot of private drives, easements and everything, and while I appreciate that it may make for the, you know, may optimize the utilization of the layout of a bigger piece of land, a few years from now, whoever's sitting up on this board will have to find out those folks that want their private drive repaired or replaced. And this is a way to address that without getting into individual, you know, it's policy and this is the way to do it.
And specifically, it gets into, so if it's private roads, you know, there's a statute that says it's a misdemeanor to vote to fund maintaining a private road. You can only fund county roads. You have citizens who come in here often, even, you know, everybody's seen by now at least one or more instances of, you know, well, the school bus goes down this road. It doesn't matter that it's private. You guys ought to do something about it. Well, you can't unless it's a county road, which means you really shouldn't create any more subdivisions without county roads.
Totally agree, totally agree. All right, cool.
Okay, so just to be clear, I got a motion and a second, and this is for agenda item number 8. Private access drives and easements, so, is there any further discussion on this?
Yes, sir.
Vote goes to Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
All right. My apologies, we're going to backtrack to number 7 now, sir.
Okay, the next one is, the Planning and Zoning Commission, we take up the 2 amendments that we want to vote. Okay, like Chairman Scarborough said, we should probably discuss this one probably longer than most of our meetings occur. Bounce back ideas, a lot of questions, we're asking stuff. And, the first where it says, section 5.1.1.b, we discussed that, adding that last red highlighted, sentence. And then we discussed, well, is that in all zones or whatever? The Planning and Zoning Board added that for zones R and R1, to where it's limited just to those 2, zones. Pretty much it on that one. That was the easiest. The second part, I know where it talks about development along major streets, limited access highways or railroad right-of-ways. we were adding a major highway, then we got trying to discuss what is considered a major highway. And we got to looking at our definitions, and there was no definition for major highway. So then we said, okay, what is a major highway? And so we decided, instead of doing all this extra work and talking ourselves to death, we would just add what is in, looks like blue or purple, where it says a county or a state highway, and left it at that. And then the other changes in that section are the words that are crossed out. So that's it in a nutshell. Planning and Zoning Board vote was a recommendation of 5-0 to recommend approval of the results of the amendment.
Motion to approve, Jim?
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion on this?
I just want to say I like the word may right there. May require, that kind of gives us a little, I don't think that changed.
May I ask, Mr. Chairman, when you say through street, is that a defined term? Does that mean every driveways cannot exit on cul-de-sacs?
Question we didn't. My driveway exits onto the cul-de-sac.
Can we amend it on the fly here, to add and or cul-de-sac?
Well, I guess my
I'm trying to figure out
what was the purpose? I mean, you've already adopted the amendment to 5.5 so that there will not be any more subdivisions with non-county roads. Is that what you asked me for?
That's what I was talking about.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm wondering what the purpose of this red sentence at the end of 5.5
I think I'll say you
is.
saw this first, so the other,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Let me ask one, please, move too far.
Go ahead.
Does that mean that subdivision was approved with all except 4 lots that was on that whatever thing?
Exactly what.
All of those lots open on the main street?
Exactly, that's exactly what this was addressing, is trying to get them to dump out on an interior street instead of the main
Right.
road.
Right.
Yeah. So I gotta go back now and look at this other one, see.
Go back a little magic to make that one work.
Yeah, you have to go back and do that, that's, okay, hang on. The only conflict I see, if I could be wrong in missing it, is as I've got a provision, I got one place that tells me I can dump out on a main road as long as I have a second. Yeah, no lot may be created which can be accessed only by private access drive easement. So it could be accessed by private access drive easement as long as it has public road access.
Which is actually a second question from the one I was raising. I was more raising, what is it, to me, a through street means one that does not dead end. It's not a cul-de-sac.
Exits on road.
It has exits on both ends to other public roads. And maybe that was the intent to require that. That would be a pretty big change to not allow cul-de-sacs in subdivisions.
I don't think that would.
Yeah.
So if the only intent is to say you have to have at least one driveway that goes out to a public road, you've accomplished that with 5.5. Then you get into the question the chairman's raising, do you want to allow a second driveway that would exit on some sort of private road, which
I can't
You know,
imagine.
these
Why are we
make
talking about-
pretty good sense
Yeah.
when we were talking about them.
Yeah.
We started talking about them.
But aren't driveways, aren't those considered the ones that are leading up to the homes and not necessarily the streets?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the way we were talking about it.
Right.
And it's defined that way, I guess, or is it? There's a definition for driveway. I'm pretty sure in our.
Well, a private access drive is basically just a shared driveway anyway, so.
Right.
Through street or cul-de-sac.
And a private address drive, couldn't that be like the drives that are going back to the 4 lots, like in that last subdivision?
But you're not gonna have those
I
anymore.
know that. And that's why we use the term, the driveways, when we added that to 511B.
But what is that red sentence in 511B saying that you haven't already said in 5.5, is what I'm trying to figure out.
I think it says too much. Because 5.5 talks about a private access drive
Right.
or an easement that services 1, 2, 3, 4 lots. That 5.5
Prohibits that.
prohibits that.
Right.
And then 5.1B just basically says that all driveways have to exit onto a
Subdivision street.
subdivision road.
Subdivision.
Whether it's a
But if there's-
through road, a cul-de-sac, or it is a subdivision road.
But if there are no private roads in that subdivision, then all the driveways will inherently go to a public road.
Maybe to do, all driveways must exit on a subdivision street.
Right, right.
And strike it through.
Right.
I think that might fix your problem.
Subdivision.
It might still be redundant.
Still redundant, but
Yeah, I still think it's, I agree. What you gotta go?
We don't want driveways going to.
Okay.
Yeah,
you strike through, I
Oh, I
Right,
understand,
okay.
and that was the question, that was the
Okay.
reason I was trying to figure that out earlier, is,
How about take out through and then,
Is that what you think, Lamar, is that satisfying?
I think so.
because that through street, I'm telling you, that's what's gonna get you that through, you know, because like you said, through street to me is one that goes through.
Mhm.
If you just did street, that's that cul-de-sac, because cul-de-sac is part of
Or it could be a road that goes through a subdivision. I mean,
Right.
through a subdivision might have a cul-de-sac, it might not have.
Because you're really trying to keep driveways from coming out on main roads, you're trying to keep driveways to stay in the.
within, to be an actual subdivision.
We start the word through that and you got it. Yeah.
Okay.
So we want to amend that motion to approve it, with
Yes.
the word through in 5.1.1B, stricken, right?
Yes.
So I have a motion to approve, to remove the word through on that.
Yes.
I'll do my second.
And you got a second, so we have amendment, okay, substitute motion. All right, so that's the motion now. Any other comments on anything with that one change? I'm good. Those people are gonna be sad they left early for this. Wait till they read about this in the paper. Okay. The vote is to Commissioner Strickland.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. No, nice job. Listen, that'll be challenge later if you don't get it. I mean, you might as well get it right while we're here, so. All right.
Thank you.
CCK, no, thank you very much, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, next item is, consider reappointment. You have a letter in your packet from, Christy Daniels, Director of DPAC, or the Board of Family and Children's Services, right? Recommending the reappointment of Ms. Ann Stone to that board, so, you have a chance to read that.
I'll make the motion, there's no better way than this county.
I'll second it.
And so you're saying you're gonna approve this? I have a motion to approve reappointing Ann Stone to Madison County Board of Family and Children's Services.
Rhonda.
Did you just withdraw that?
I just withdraw that.
My wife.
It's probably easy just to read that off there.
That's the reason that's in the agenda. So as I understand it, then I have a motion to consider reappointing Ann Stone to the Madison County Board of Family and Children Services. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any other comments or discussion? Commissioner Bettis?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
All right. All right, last item, business item here is to discuss drafting a nuisance abatement ordinance.
Is that my turn?
And I will gladly relinquish the floor.
Every one of the commissioners, I believe, has a big, nice packet here that's got the Athens Clark County nuisance abatement. We're not trying to copy them too much here. We're just trying to, I just wanted you guys to have something that you could look at. Teresa, as you heard the gentleman earlier come in and talk about Commissioner Bettis's issues she's having over there in her district, I have some of the same issues she's having. I bring this to you guys to discuss getting Mr. Pruitt to draft us up a Madison County nuisance abatement. Right now, we don't have anything like this. And talking to Judge Patton, talking to code enforcement and the sheriff who all support this, they have all said that this would actually give us some teeth to actually follow through with things and get some stuff cleaned up. I've talked with Mike, there's been several instances and different ways, banks owning properties and not cleaning them up, people getting properties real cheap and not keeping them up. Some of these properties have the reason it's come on my radar is because they've become unsafe, not only for the people who live there, but the surrounding properties. The property value is always a high priority, but for me, it's a safety issue. Without something that we can go through, without something we can, a process that we can go through, give people judicial, what you used earlier, due process, with, plenty of judiciary steps, and scrutiny, that's where I live, to make sure that this is a fair thing. I'm not looking to hurt anybody, I'm trying to help, the community, help us clean it up, help us get to be more safe. Some of these properties, one of mine, just to give you an example, had a 15-foot wide, 15-foot deep, 60-foot long ditch that had human waste being pumped into it out of 3 RVs in the back. I'm telling you, and the next door neighbor couldn't even keep her horses and her cows in her pasture because the water had become so nasty just from that, and it's not, and like I said, it's not something that once we get this, if we can get this in place, you guys will help me do it. If we can get it in place and actually clean some of these up, hopefully, it'll never come to the point of putting a lien on a property or anything like that. Hopefully, we push them, we have some teeth, and we actually get them to clean the property up. That is not my intention, it's not Commissioner Bettis' intention. Our intention is to make things safer. We spend about 68% of our budget on public safety or something like that. I might be making up that statistic, but something like that. And it's very important. And this is public health, this is public safety.
Absolutely.
Just like that is. And so tonight, really what I'm just asking you guys to do is I wanted to make a motion that we give county attorney the permission to draft a Madison County nuisance abatement. So we can look at it, you guys can look at it, get an idea of what you like about it, don't like about it, how we can change it, use some synergy here and see if we can't come up with something that can help the county. So that's my motion just for tonight, because we got to do that first before we can
Second.
do that.
Can we discuss? Yeah, let's get the.
Absolutely, motion and second, and now comments and discussion.
All right. John, we got ordinance, I'm all for this now, don't get me wrong. We got ordinance on the books now, and I've been dealing with you for about a year now on 3 of these things, and not anything's been done on it. We can write ordinances all day long, all night long, and all week long, but if we start enforcing these ordinances, they ain't no good. We get selective enforcement. If we go out there and enforce something on somebody's willing to be enforced, fine. But you get the least bit of resistance to it, we walk away from it.
Chairman, if I may, talking to Judge Madison, he's the one that sees all these things, he seems to think that what our ordinances are now do not give him enough authority to make a change. They come in, they pay their fine, or they don't show up, they reschedule a date, something like that, and it's just not enough this gives us a little bit more teeth to maybe get somebody's attention. And if I can chime in, the teeth that get, and there's an ordinance, there's a statute that, back in the Title 36, that gives you the right to just pass an ordinance addressing these sorts of things, but the only enforcement mechanism you have is write a citation, go to court, pay a fine, and never gets fixed. This would be based on a set of statutes at 41-2-7 through 17. And it adds this, and it's pretty complex, and that's why and it's all about due process to the landowner, and that's why it's as lengthy as the Athens-Clarke County ones you've got an example of. Now, there's some optional things that have been added there that you don't, that I could take out in a draft for you, but what this adds to it is, rather than just writing a citation, you would file a petition, either in magistrate court or superior court, and the landowner would be cited, have an opportunity to come to court. If the judge finds that unsafe or uninhabitable conditions, which are also defined in these statutes, exist, the judge would order that it be remedied. The judge can also consider where the costs of repair exceed the value or are not reasonable in relation to the value of the property, as how the code says it, and just order that it be destroyed. Assuming it doesn't do that, then the judge orders the homeowner to make the repairs within a set period of time, within the discretion of the judge. If the owner fails to do that, the county has the option of coming in and doing those repairs or demolition, if that's what the judge has ordered, at the county's expense, but then put a lien on the property so that if and when it's ever sold, or you could even foreclose on the lien in the same manner as tax liens, to be reimbursed for the county's cost.
So we would have to, when we work on the budget, maybe go down to the probate office and find out how many of these are out there, because I promise you, these people will not pay for the demolition. They don't have the money, or they would be living like that for the most part. I'm just saying, it's gonna be a financial burden on the county. And if it's a lien, then we won't get it unless we can.
You levy on it, same as a tax sale, right?
Right.
Is this an issue that planning, zoning, and code enforcement ought to be involved in?
It is, absolutely. I wrote down, so in the implementation or in the construction of a nuisance abatement ordinance, you want to include, you definitely want to put the sheriff and law enforcement.
Chairman, just to be clear, just to say it again, the sheriff and stuff heard me first time. I talked to the sheriff, I've talked to Judge Sapp, I've talked to code enforcement. They are involved on my end already. They are in full support of whatever we decide, obviously. But if you guys want to call them and talk to them, they're ready to talk to you about it.
Well, you're not talking about the content of it tonight anyhow. You're just
correct.
So my point is,
we don't have content yet.
You're right, that you want to involve code enforcement. The sheriff's office is actually where the code enforcement lies. You want your tax commissioner probably involved in this, since
I'm talking more to me.
So there's a lot of people, as I understand that this is the first step in at least looking at what a draft nuisance abatement ordinance would look like.
What kind of time frame would you be looking at as far as foreclosure?
It goes to you actually send the bill for the cost to the tax commissioner, and that goes on the tax bill, and then it can get, the same as tax levy, so.
They got a year to pay it back?
There's a redemption period, that's right, you got a year to pay it back, that's right.
It could get costly quickly because you can't get a can and a piece of equipment out there for under $20,000 a pop. And if we start going at this thing like gangbusters, I'm for it.
No, yeah.
I'm just saying it's gonna be expensive.
I'll get those numbers too, because I had them, I just don't have them in front of me, and I do apologize for that, but it's nothing outrageous like you're thinking. It's really not, there's not just tons of these properties out there, they're really not. Teresa's got two maybe, I know I've got two, so there's four there. I'm not sure how much you guys get out and ride around and look. You can probably figure out, some of them.
There's a few.
Somebody's gonna have to judge and make a decision on
That would be the building
what
inspector.
qualifies as being one of these.
Right. Oh, and that's all.
They have to.
You're right, and that's all that would be all written up in the ordinance.
So if you don't enforce all of them, you shouldn't enforce any of them. And we haven't been able to enforce nothing since I've been talking to John about what we've been talking about.
Well,
I can't get the dog catcher to call me back and I leave a message, tell her who I am. She don't care. I told her, I said, look at here, I'm the commissioner, you gotta call me back. Call me back.
Maybe that's why she's not calling you back.
I just want to shot the dog. I didn't better shoot her dog back, don't do that.
All right, so, the motion and a second to have the county attorney initiate a draft for the nuisance abatement ordinance. Is there any other comment, any other discussion?
I will say in District 1, I've got a lot of people that support this, a lot of them. So, I can get some over here talking.
District 3.
Just throwing it out there. I want everybody to know that. Talk to your people.
I don't think anybody, again, when you attach it to safety and health, again, I remember a conversation with Board of Health a few weeks back, though, and their largest, service is, vaccinations. It's the largest expense they have too. So, I mean, you know, there are costs, and I just want to make sure that we go about it in a thoughtful and, you know.
Chairman, I would like to say, you know, thank you guys for your consideration too. Appreciate it.
So we got a motion and a second. I've got to figure out where we left off last time.
First. Commissioner Peck.
So, Commissioner Pepple, to you then, sir, the motion is to have the attorney start the draft for a nuisance abatement.
Yes.
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 Very good. All right. Roads update, I guess.
All the washed out roads complete now?
No, sir. No, sir. Alan has, they were, road permitting, they were on Chandler Farm Road, this week. And, they have put in place or have repaired most of the areas temporarily, they're, you know, until they get the pipe and the pieces. Chief William is, he's still pricing that one may end up having to be a box culvert, which is pricier, but the traffic and the water flow over there, it may require that, so.
Chandler Farm.
That's the one that's where they are this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he get his piece of equipment in?
For
the patch wagons and all that?
No, July 23rd is when those are due to be delivered, so, yeah.
He did.
I don't know if any of y'all has been out on Irvin Kirk or Pokey Road.
Well, that's good.
Been on that road there.
They did a great job.
How to get out there.
Already got it striped.
Yeah, and then, the equipment is sitting over at Clements Road now, that'll be the next one that gets done, so.
I talked to Alan about Timberlane Drive, there was some water issues.
Oh, yeah.
He said it been you.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it
And
is.
they called you too.
That road's looking good.
Call it,
They
most of
get
that
close.
street's restriped, it looks good over there.
Where is this?
Call it, all the city's calling it restriped.
Let's see if Roy is something about happening over there.
He's gonna sing.
Yeah, he is.
I wanted to sing, he beat me out. That's my hometown, man. And that came all the way down.
I didn't bid for the job, I
All right. Any other roads, road updates or roads update? Boy, it's hard for me to say. Roads update. Yeah. All right. If not, we'll move on to those that matter. I mentioned one item, and I'll tell you what it is, and just the timing on this, as I said, it's not a huge item, but it does require your board approval. The extension office, much like the library, they fall under the university teachers retirement system, and they did not budget it. They did not know to budget for it at the beginning of the year, but there was an increase in the teachers retirement system deduction. And bottom line, for 6 months, starting July 1st, and that is what's driving the comment or the conversation right now. Starting July 1st, we make payments to the Board of Education to cover those items, and for the, extension office, they need to, if the board sees their way through to approving this, the total expense for 6 months for the extension office is $588.96. They, are presenting that as part of their budget for next year for your consideration, but this was, a request from the extension agent, though, to cover that. So, what I need is the approval, or to consider a payment of that amount, $588.96, to offset the increase of the extension office TRS adjustment. The money is in the extension office line item already for salary. They went for a period of time without, before Brad Averill was hired, so it's not an amendment to put money over in it. It's just the approval to spend $588 of that towards that adjustment.
Is that a new state law, Chairman? Or is that a new state unfunded mandate?
No.
I have some familiarity with this. So TRS has its own governing board, and they meet and set these rates annually, and they have been increasing them every year. This is another example of fiscal year and calendar year not meshing, because most TRS employees work in school systems, which are all in fiscal years, so that's geared to when they implement the increase.
Bring that up again.
And there are a number of things when we talk about our insurance and everything, all of them operate on fiscal years too, so it's a, but for your consideration, the vote would be to consider that payment of $588.96 to offset that increase through the end of this calendar year.
It's just moving money.
It is. That's why I'm not asking to amend the budget, this is just to move it.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion to approve and a second, comment or discussion on that item. I would have had that on the agenda, I just didn't get it in time, so. That's good. Vote is to Commissioner Easko.
Yes.
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 All right. Vote statements and remarks for anybody remaining? Anybody like to say anything about anything? Nobody. Okay. No executive session.
Yes, sir.
All we need is a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And motion and second, Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Thank you all for hanging with us.